New research out today has revealed the burden being placed on the NHS by alcohol. According to the report, 1 in 10 people in hospital beds are alcohol dependent, and 1 in 5 do themselves harm through alcohol by binge drinking, for example. So it's estimated to be costing the NHS £3.5 billion every year. Huge amounts of money. But what is the answer? Is there even an answer for it, Carol?
Well, obviously there isn't an answer, is there? Because there's not enough money in the world for the NHS to keep going the way it wants to keep going. So, you know, occasionally you get these things that come out where, oh, this is costing the NHS this much. Sometimes it's old people. It's usually the old people. They cost the NHS a lot of money because they're old. And now it's booze as well. It's either booze or fags or something that's easy to blame. And when they say things about, oh, we should stop treating people for alcohol-related illness or injuries, you just think, well, where does that stop? The NHS needs to start saving money in places where it's really obvious they can save money, and that's like with less management for a start, and looking at costs of things. When you look at what they pay for things as opposed to what, you know, private hospitals or any business would pay for simple jobs and things like that. And, you know, they always want more nurses, they want this, want that, want that, and they just want more money all the time. You give them as much money as they want, and they'll spend it. They can just spend it. So to just blame it on the booze, and it's always, you know, booze is the big problem for everything. And I'm not saying it's not a problem when people turn up with terrible booze-related injuries and things like that, but, you know, you can't suddenly pick and choose who you treat when you treat a hell of a lot of people who've probably never paid into the blooming system.
Yeah, because then you have to go on to, if you smoke, then we're not going to treat you. If you've been on a, as you said earlier, on a skiing holiday and you've broken your leg, we're not going to treat you because you chose to go on a skiing holiday. Yeah. So you're right, it's like, where does it stop? But I do kind of think, OK, so if you had a magic wand, you say we're going to remove alcohol from society, Friday and Saturday night in casualty would be empty, pretty much. There'd be 1 or 2 people in there with young children probably panicking about stuff. But other than that, it is a huge problem, and it's a huge problem for the NHS staff because people attack them under the influence of alcohol.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm not saying it's not a problem.
But I just think with the NHS in general, no one is taking an overview. Nobody is, because it's so huge now that I think what they do is they just take little problems and as you say, pick on one sort of aspect. Somebody needs to just look at the whole damn thing. And what I would do is, the first thing I would do is say, first alcohol-related injury, you know, probably any of us could be there. You go to a wedding, you have a bit too much to drink, you make a mistake, whatever, fall over. If you're there 3 times, if your name keeps popping up in the system, it's like, right, OK, this is your 3rd time you've been here with an alcohol-related injury. We will treat you, but you sign this form, and this form means you're going to get help with your drinking. You're going to see somebody to look at the root causes of why you keep going out binge drinking. Nobody's ever getting to the root of why people do things. I think that's a better
Or why they drink too much.
Yeah.
But then you can't tell people when to stop doing something.
But one of their suggestions is to have alcohol specialists.
Yeah.
I actually think that's a really good idea because if you've got somebody that's just injured themselves and as they talk within AA and everything, has reached their rock bottom, if they're looking at themselves, oh my God, I could have died in this situation. And at that point, you've got somebody that can come in and talk to you, then I think that is a fantastic idea. Obviously, you can't force anyone, but have some sort of support because that might be the perfect point to get somebody to change the path of their life. But I agree with you too. I mean, dis-ease comes from so many different reasons, you know. So somebody with a heart attack that hasn't exercised their whole life, are you going to say, OK, 1 heart attack and then that's it? I just don't think this is feasible at all. And like, but I do think something should be done about the abuse that goes on day in, day out in A&E from drunken...
That's exactly what I was going to say. And there is that difference between alcohol-related disease, people that are suffering with addiction. I get that. But there is then the person that's got drunk on a Saturday night and got into a fight and is sitting in A&E. And it was only a couple of months ago that I ended up at the Chelsea Westminster A&E with a friend of mine, a non-alcohol related injury, I might add. But we went in and it was full of just people who'd had too much to drink. And there was one guy, his head was bleeding. He was really, really drunk. And he was sitting on the seat waiting to be seen. He was shouting at the girl behind the desk and shouting at everybody. And he kept falling off the seat and then getting back up again. And I just stood there going, oh, this is just exhausting to watch. All of the staff are doing all they can for everybody else. And you can't help but be maybe a bit annoyed if you're coming in with another, you've been in a car accident, it's not your fault. But this guy's shouting to be seen ahead of you and you're going, but you've just had too many beers and got into a fight. So there's like...
But also, we all like a drink, right? Don't we? We all like a drink, but we don't go around beating people up.
Not me.
Yes,
Not
you
ever.
do. We don't go around beating people up or, you know, being totally irresponsible. And that's what you're talking about. And that isn't all over the country. That's only in certain areas
Well, not
where you
necessarily.
end up with an
Sometimes people
A&E
just
that's
get
full of
stupid
idiots.
when they're drunk and fall over and smash their head.
Yeah,
That's
of
what
course,
might
which
happen
is
with
that
that
happens,
guy.
but-
And I would say, first time, all right, you know, you got a pass, we'll treat you, send you home.
But they're
if he
injuries.
keeps
What
coming
about
back,
disease
Getting into fights
related to
and-
then there's
alcohol?
another problem going on.
Yeah.
What
yeah.
about if you've got cirrhosis of the liver because you're addicted to
You
alcohol?
get treated
then-
the same way.
Well, of course you should. You should
As
get
somebody
treated.
would with a heart attack from smoking or somebody from diabetes because they've overeaten sugar. You know, I mean, disease comes from us.
Well, it comes
our
from
bad
it comes from a
habits
lot of
often.
things, and there isn't a single disease, I don't think, that they can't blame on alcohol or cigarettes or something. And the thing is, it's not. There's no guarantees. You could probably you could drink all your life and smoke all your life and not get anything. So, you know, you can't suddenly say
wouldn't
to
advise
people
it.
if you choose to smoke a bit. No, but you do hear
Yeah.
of people that they've drunk and smoked all their lives and don't get sick. So
Yeah.
you can't suddenly say to people, oh, you like a drink. But they do tend to blame everything on alcohol, don't they? Everything is always blamed on alcohol. We're not all
think
idiots.
alcohol is a huge problem.
It is,
Because
definitely.
exactly of what you're talking
it is a
about. Anyone
poison.
who's been in A&E late on a weekend,
that's
you see
kind of
it.
what
You
it
see
is.
it for yourself. And
Yeah.
it never used to be like that.
No. Yeah.
It's cheap booze, it's weird licensing hours, you know.
And also, it's become acceptable. We will say, oh, the poor staff in A&E, the abuse that they get. I think it should become unacceptable.
Yes, I agree with that.
It's just crept up on us. Now it's just a normal
It's like
thing.
That's what happens on a Saturday and it shouldn't be that way.